Good morning and welcome to another video here on this Esoteric Circle YouTube channel. I am Pete Haskins, and Wanda and I are again down here on a Sunday morning, our favorite spot, and it's just beautiful weather, so we thought we'd come down here and just kind of chill out and relax with you and just have a few words of encouragement on this Sunday morning here in October in Menominee Falls, Wisconsin. So blessings to you wherever you're at on your journey. Great having you here. It's great having you here. Wherever you're at on your journey, it's just wonderful having you here. I'm starting to get into some Joseph Campbell and some Orthodox esoteric stuff with Robin Amos, so excited to continue to share my energy and some of the ideas that we have in our group. Tremendous energy on our Discord server. We meet every Saturday morning, so if you're interested in a very civil, loving group of people getting together on Saturday mornings and talking about this and supporting one another during the week, let me know, because it's there. It's awesome. We're going to continue to study Moravia's Gnosis, but we're also going to be getting into Robin Amos's A Different Christianity. Robin taught a couple of us who are on the server, and Robin is a big part of this channel here on the Esoteric Circle. And just wanted to bring a couple of paragraphs from this and just kind of see if this is something that you might be interested in. Because Robin's goal, his cosmic job, was this retrieval of lost knowledge, and there was a psychological method that had been lost through a lot of historical twists and turns, and he goes through it in this book, and we're going to be going through this. But I want to read this to you here, and it just gives you an idea of what he's talking about. This is on page 27. How did it happen that this psychological knowledge, which was a mature science in the Christian world long before the development of our modern physical sciences, become lost? Often the interchanges of history have the simplest causes. In this case, for example, with the decline of the Roman Empire, book learning became the almost exclusive concern of the clergy. This had the effect of an unplanned but effective censorship. To this was added a mistranslation and careless copying, and there is frequent evidence as well of deliberate distortion. By the late medieval era, these causes had led to an almost total loss of psychological knowledge of the previous era. The fact of the matter is that most of these teachings never reached the West in usable form. The Christianity of the Fathers has never been tried in Western world. In summary, what is known as Gnosticism, different from the Christian concept of gnosis, survived only as a few short-lived sects with conflicted teachings. Number two, much pre-Christian Greek thought was lost by accident or by monastic censorship. Although other elements were preserved to the present day in the writings of the early fathers and those who have followed in their spiritual footsteps, what survived was understood only by a few. Psychology in those days was regarded as a form of philosophy, and this was so thoroughly lost in the medieval times that one of the great scholars of this century, Etienne Gilson, speaking particularly of the Greek form of philosophical thought, wrote that, quote, "There is no philosophy between the end of the 3rd century after Christ and the middle of the 13th century, with the appearance of the Summa contra Gentiles." Thus, from the time of Clement, the outer church had become increasingly closed to the inner tradition, which is what we're interested in. And number 4, from the time of the establishment of the church under Constantine, what survived of the inner tradition had mostly gone into seclusion, so that the practice of the Christian inner tradition was almost entirely limited to a few monastic locations, most of them in the eastern marches of Christendom, and the tradition became virtually invisible to most individuals. And he writes, on Mount Athos today, considerably more than 1,000 monks follow the royal way of the heart as practicing hesychast. Before the First World War, there were many more. In earlier times, most monks joined in their teens. Now some come in their 50s and 60s when the process known as the cutting off of the will, the basic form of the obedience for the monk of the royal way, has become impossible for them. The way the mind of Western man normally develops with age makes it impossible. Today, the modern world is beginning to reach out to those distant monks as a flood of tourists and pilgrims disrupts monastic life and even creates traffic problems on the tracks of the holy mountain. At certain times of the year, large groups of young Greek men visit the mountain with the encouragement of their families, but often with little real interest in what they are to find there. For monks, as for lay people, for all people in the world, the question now is, how can the way be found when it is impossible to isolate oneself for so many hours each day? Conditions change, and in the past, ways of seeking God have changed with them. So, if you're interested in this, if this sounds interesting to you, if you're curious about it, that means something. So, you're on your journey, you're hearing these little clues and these hints. Well, here's a big hint. There's a whole inner tradition out there that has been lost to all of Protestantism, lost to the Catholic Church, and even Orthodoxy knows very little about this. This is the inner psychological tradition. This is the inner church. And that's what he was after. And it's there. And that was Robin's mission. And that's the mission of this Esoteric Circle YouTube channel and then on Discord. This is what we're doing here. We are reviving this. We're sharing it. So if you're interested in it, please let me know, because there's a whole bunch of good stuff in this. It makes a lot of sense. Blessings to you on your journey.